My name's Emily Martin, and I'm taking you behind the scenes to talk to equine artists from around the world. This is Artist Unlocked. Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Artist Unlocked. This week's guest is Erika Isbell. You might know her on Instagram as performance_fanatic or the Pokey Pony. You might have originally known her as Vampire Briar Gal if you're an OG fan. One of the things I really love about Erika is that she's always pushing boundaries of what you can use to customize model horses with. I think it's really easy to get boxed into these sort of stereotypes of what other artists are using, and those are the only mediums that you can use, when in reality there's so many different options out there that probably work that nobody has ever tried. And so I really appreciate that about Erika. She's not afraid to try a new medium or use new materials and tools. As always, definitely go ahead and subscribe and follow the show wherever you watch or listen to it. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. For those who don't know you, go ahead and just introduce yourself, how long you've been in the hobby, things like that.
Well, I'm Erika. A lot of people knew me from my old username of Vampire Briar Gal. We've transitioned past that. But I've been in the hobby for, I've been showing since like 2011. And I was doing some other art stuff before that, but I've been in it for a pretty long time now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Walk me through your journey of how you got into collecting and how that transitioned to like the art side of the hobby.
So growing up, my sister had Briars. I had the Grand Champions and she had Briars. And I was able to get my first Briars, and of course we played with them in our basement. We made a whole huge barn setup out of like popsicle sticks and cardboard.
Yes.
Of course, yes, the classics. So we did that all through my childhood, and then when I was like probably 9 or 10, I stopped playing with them because I was like, this is a kiddish thing to do, I shouldn't be doing that. And then when I turned like 13 or 14, I was like, you know what, I still really enjoy these and I don't really care what people think. And that's when I found the showing side of it. So that's how that started, and that really helped push everything that I was doing up to this point. But I painted all of my Grand Champions when I was a kid. They were good.
Perfect. Yeah.
The like clumpy craft paint, yep, they were great.
Everybody goes through that phase.
Oh yeah. But I didn't paint Briars until after I started showing. I think they were just kind of scary to me, so I didn't want to ruin them.
Yeah.
But I remember I painted all the Grand Champions, but I also had those like flocked horses.
Yes.
I don't know what brand they are. Yeah, I painted those, and they painted really well because you can't see the paint strokes through the flock.
True.
So, but yeah, whenever I went to the horse show, I realized that there was a whole other side of like customizing and all that, and those horses always amazed me. So it definitely got me more interested in that. So I started pretty young. When I was 14 or 15, I started painting a lot more. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we all go through like a phase where we're painting with the craft paints and painting kind of whatever we have. I think that's
Oh yeah, you've gotta go through the clumpy stage first before you get better.
Yeah. So then once you started getting more serious about it, like what did you start with then, and how has that progressed to where you are now?
So whenever I was painting the Grand Champions and stuff, obviously it was like craft paint and whatnot. But I realized that the airbrush was a thing. So I got an airbrush pretty young. Because, you know what? I went to Briarfest, my first Briarfest in 2009. And my mom signed me up for an airbrushing like workshop there.
Yes.
And so they basically like loaded, it was like a painting workshop. So it was like, there was a bunch of different stuff that we got to try, but they like had black paint in the airbrush and they were like, just spray your horse's legs. And I was like, oh, I can do that. So I like sprayed it and I was like, this is so smooth. It's so easy. So I got an airbrush quickly after that. And I've been fighting with it recently, but I've been working with airbrush on and off for a long time.
Yeah.
So, but I've always used acrylic paint. But yeah, mostly airbrush. And then of course I used like really bad clay when I started sculpting.
Yeah.
Just whatever I could find before I realized that you should probably use a correct kind so it doesn't crack.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I got, once I got rolling when I was like 15 or 16, I was using the airbrush with acrylics and epoxy clay. So I had pretty good supplies going at that point, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody kind of goes along that journey of getting there.
Definitely. Lots of trial and error.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What was it like when you first started sculpting too? Like, what was it like, frustrating at first, or did things click for you kind of right away and you like instantly loved it? What was that like?
It was kind of weird because like thinking back on the projects that I had, of course I look at them now and I'm like, oh honey. But no, like when I was a kid, it didn't really matter, you know, the conformation of the horse. I didn't care about that. It was just more, I wanted this horse to be different, so I would change it.
Yeah.
So they definitely weren't like fantastic sculptures by any means, but I was pretty proud of them, and I really enjoyed being able to like create new things. So yeah, I mean, it didn't click in a sense of like it was magical and it was perfect by any means, but I definitely enjoyed it and I really liked the aspect of sculpting. So but once I got a little bit older, I think when I was like 18 or so, I don't really remember when it was. It was later though. I realized that I wasn't the best at sculpting, so I kind of took a break from it because it's hard. So I was like, I don't want to deal with that right now. So I did stop for a little bit because of that and focused on painting instead. And now, of course, I'm switched and I don't really paint much anymore and I'm working on sculpting. So hopefully they'll merge back together at some point here.
So I feel like you're kind of going back and forth, different phases of you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it's been a journey.
I appreciate that though, because I've definitely gone through phases where I'm like, I really want to like learn about anatomy and like I just really dive into the sculpting side, and then there are other times where I'm like, I would just like to paint a horse without having to sand a million times.
Yep.
So I certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, and I also got to the point now where I realized, like, you know, when you're a kid, you don't send I guess now kids do, because my generation was a little bit different, but you don't really send your horses off to get painted, like that wasn't really a thing that had happened. So like if you wanted a horse to look a certain way, you had to sculpt and paint it. You had to figure it out, and you better like it because you don't really have options. So I think now I've gotten to the point where I realize like it's okay to get other people to paint your horses or sculpt your horses and like branch out a little bit. You don't have to do everything, which has really helped me with painting lately, because I can focus on, you know, learning painting without feeling like I'm ruining these sculptures that I had made and I wanted them to be perfect. So it's really good to not stress yourself out as much, I guess. So
yeah, I agree. I think it's easy to get, at least for me anyway, I get into like a perfectionist mindset with it, and I just like I want to be like these people that have been doing it for like 20 years, and I'm just not.
Yep. And that's why I stopped painting, because I was like, it's stressing me out and I'm comparing myself to these artists that are way up there versus like, you know, almost trying to do my own thing too. Because I think a lot of people, I mean, obviously the goal for showing is realism, but there is always an artist touch to things, and you don't necessarily have to copy that. You know, you can get your own artist style within the realistic realm. So I think that's important too, and that's hard to learn. So
for sure. So we'll come back to the studio elements of things, but some people have said that they don't really have a least favorite side of the hobby, but at least a favorite. What is your favorite side of the hobby?
My favorite side of the hobby, I guess there's two sides of it. I have two.
Yeah.
So one of them is definitely the people I've met. Some of my best friends are in this hobby. And it's weird because I'm 23 right now. And one of my best friends is Taylor. She's like 25-ish, somewhere around there. Mm. Another one of my friends is 16, and my other best friend is like 65-ish.
Yeah, right.
And I talk to her every day. She's like one of my best friends. So it's weird that the hobby, it's just so like diverse in the people that you meet and the age groups and all that. And like you all have something in common, so you can all be friends no matter what. And I really, really enjoy that side of it. And that's actually the hardest part about this quarantine, is that I had like a bunch of horse shows I was supposed to go to, and I haven't seen my friends in forever. And I'm like, I would love to go visit them.
I know, it's so hard. I know. I kind of wanted to get into showing more frequently this year, and of course
bad time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, we'll just try again for next year.
Yeah. My other favorite part though is definitely customs. I mean, I guess artist resins are in there too, but I love customs because I love seeing these unique things that people get to make, and like that I make myself, and that all that stuff. Because like I have like a dream horse of this like dun Putavan breed, and it's like my favorite breed. It's my favorite color of theirs, and I finally got to make a custom Cleveland Bay and sent it off, and she's perfect. And I'm so happy that I get exactly the horse I want, you know, that's unique to me. And I think that's just such a fun aspect. So you can go to shows and see all these customs, and they're all different. And you can really tell, like, when you talk to the owners, they're like, oh, this was my dream, you know, like all that stuff. It's so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love the customs for that reason too. They're so different. You know, two people could sculpt, you know, two cantering horses on the same mold, and they're completely different.
Exactly.
And it makes them different from like artist resins in that way. Yeah, there's so much.
I will say the only bad side, I'll count this as the bad side of the hobby actually. The bad side of the hobby is also customs, because there'll be some customs that I'm like, I want that horse, but I can't have that horse. And I'm like, dang it, and I can't copy that horse. So you're like, just have to track that one horse down in a few years. It's heartbreaking.
So I know. There'll be times I like had an idea in my head for a while for like a certain horse, and then I see somebody else did it, and I'm like, they beat me to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But luckily there's not too much like bad parts of the hobby. And you know, there's drama and all that, but that's in every clique. There's not, you know, it's not terrible. You just learn to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite like memories that have happened? This could be like art related or otherwise, within the hobby.
I guess I'll say that, I don't know, this past Briarfest was pretty great. 2018 Briarfest was really great. Because I got into the custom contest, and people were so nice about that. And it was weird because there was these people that I recognized and I knew their names, and they were coming up to me and like hugging me and congratulating me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you know who I am. Like, this is amazing. And they were all so sweet, so it was really fun to meet them through that. And then also the open show, I won the overall reserve grand in performance, and I was not expecting that at all, so I definitely screamed and probably scared some people.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, but my sister was there in 2018, and that was her first, like, she wasn't in the hobby, but she definitely was, or no, was she? No, that was this year. She wasn't in the hobby at that point, but she was like helping me like organize stuff and all that. And that was the Briarfest that got her into model horses. So she now collects, and she showed at Briarfest last year. So we do it together now, and that was just so much fun. But that's like a hobby aspect. I guess for an art one, I guess the one that I think of most is that I have a custom Cleveland Bay who's not finished, but is of a portrait of a horse that I used to ride. And I loved that horse. And unfortunately he sold. But while I was sculpting this horse, and it was like, I was still working on my sculpting at that point, so I wasn't like fantastic, but I remember I sculpted his face and his mane, and I looked at him, and it was like spot on. And I just started crying because I was so happy with it. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that was definitely a good point too. I was pretty proud of him. I still have him. I need to finish him. But yeah, that was a good moment.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think in my repertoire, eventually, the horse that I've been riding for the last 6 years, I want to do a custom of some sort of him, and I'm just kind of like waiting until I feel comfortable enough. Like, faces still scare me.
Oh yeah. Well, when I was a kid, because we have a horse named Lisa, and I had like 9 different customs of my own horse on every mold I can get her on. It was, I think I have one of those left, but I had so many customs of her too. So I think that's a fun time too.
Yeah, it's fun for sure. All right, so pivoting a little bit back to kind of like the studio side of things. I know people have like a wide range of spaces where they work. Some are like at the kitchen table, and some have like a whole room dedicated for it. What does that look like for you?
So, I mean, I would show you if I was home, but I've kind of transitioned. I started in my bedroom, and we had an old like outdoor bar, like the L-shaped bar things. And my dad built a top to it. So I had that in my room, and I completely destroyed my carpet with paint and pastel. So they realized at that point that wasn't a good idea. So I got moved down to, we have a 2-car garage. So I got part of the garage. And my table has been down there for years. I've always worked in my garage. But just the last couple of months, I moved into our basement. It's a big old area, and half of it is my studio, and then I have a bed in there. So that's like the bedroom side, but it's mostly a studio. But I have a whole bunch of tables for it. I bought a spray booth and all that, and it's really worked out. It's been really nice.
Amazing.
Yeah. This is like the first time I've had like a real studio, because before that, I was at my sister's apartment, and it's a really, really small apartment. So I had a little desk inside, and then I was like on her porch. I took over her porch for all the messy stuff. So I've always been kind of in a cramped space, or in someone else's space. And so this is the first time that I've had like my own room dedicated to it.
Yeah.
And it's been really weird, but it's really open, and I have a lot of space. So
and you don't have to like
been
pack.
Nice.
Yeah, you don't have to pack things up every time you're done.
Exactly. Like, yeah.
Do you like your spray booth, by the way? Because I'm looking into getting one, and I'm just like trying to figure out if it makes a difference.
It actually really does. Because I'm now inside, like I'm not in a garage anymore. I actually prime my horses inside, because I'm also in the South, so it's humid. And the fan is so powerful that I can turn on that fan and spray primer in my bedroom, and I won't smell it at all. Like standing next to it, I won't smell it. It's really great. One time I had it set up a little bit differently, and I walked upstairs and I came back down and I was like, oh, that one didn't work. But most of the time I don't smell it. So it's been really nice. I really like it.
That's good, because I'm looking into investing in one, because my studio is like out of my bedroom right now, so it's like
it just goes out the window, and it's awesome. And I think it wasn't that expensive, so it worked out really well.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, I'll definitely invest in one then.
I just put a bigger box around it. Like, it came in a big box, and I put that box around it, so I don't have like spray around it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's worked out really well though. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm looking into getting into airbrushing just for like the base coats of things, but
yes, that's a really good reason to airbrush, and that's kind of what I'm gonna start doing. I think. We'll see.
Yeah, it's like a daunting initial cost for me to like just jump in and hope. I'm assuming it'll be fine. Like I feel like I'm at a point where I'm like, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Agreed. It's not. It's like it's hard, but it's not hard. So it just takes like getting used to
the cleaning of it and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I feel like is gonna be the hardest.
Yes, agreed. It's that I always struggle with.
So I know you talked about like acrylics and you use airbrushing. Are there any, and this could be for the sculpting side of things too, what are your favorite mediums to use? What are your favorite tools to use?
So for sculpting, I use Abe's Epoxy Sculpt. I tried the Magic Sculpt, but I just wasn't a fan. It's a little bit it doesn't hold its shape as well. So
Yeah.
I really like the firmness of the epoxy. A lot of people don't, so that's, to each their own. And the tools that I use are actually just rubber, like wedge sculpting tools off Amazon. I think they were like $7 for 14 of them. It's like a cheap pack of whatever. And then ironically, my favorite tool, and I use it a lot, well, two of them actually, are my hands. I really like using my fingers. I use my fingers a lot. And then I use old brushes. Like I water down brushes and like smooth out epoxy with them. And then they get kind of clumpy and kind of gross. And that's a really good texture to use on the epoxy. So that's like my favorite thing is old brushes that are covered in epoxy. And you have to cycle through because they'll get to, like, it'll just be a solid block. So it won't work at that point. But for some reason, those worked out really well for me. So I keep using those, which is also nice because I can use old brushes and not be wasteful.
Yeah.
So that's always good.
For sure.
For painting, I've always used acrylic. I used airbrush for a while, and I would water down acrylic or the airbrushing paint from my local store. I don't really know what brand they are, but they're very they're in like the other miniature hobbies. They're not from painting. So those have always worked out well. But I'm actually currently experimenting with like oils. I really want to get watercolor to work. I have a cool way that I think would work, but unfortunately the way that I'm thinking is only for like grays. So I have to get a horse that will be gray. But yeah, so I'm doing that, and then I'm working on with oils, and I'm using hand painted acrylics as well. I used that on one of my horses, and I really enjoyed that process. And it wasn't as streaky as I thought it would be. It worked out really well. So I'm gonna try to keep doing that too, because I think people look at the top artists and know what medias they use, and that's the only ones we are allowed to use or whatever. Yeah. But there are a lot of processes out there. And I actually went to art school. I have a degree in illustration. So I have like a painting background and that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to incorporate that into it as well, like kind of doing the more fine art side of painting to bring it in. And I think it'll work. I don't know. We're still experimenting.
That's so cool. I applaud you for doing that, because you're right. Like, there's not like this box of like specific mediums that we can use.
Yeah, who said watercolor won't work?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it won't, but
you'll try.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah.
Definitely worth a shot.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for artists that are like looking to get to where you are, looking to get into painting and sculpting?
Definitely don't be afraid to fail. Me as a person too, it's one of my faults is I'm very afraid of failing and like not doing things correctly. But you just have to try it. It's not going to be perfect the first time, but you have to just kind of get through those awkward phases and keep trying and keep researching and trying new ideas and all that stuff, because it honestly, as cheesy as it is, it just takes so much practice. Like you have to get used to it, and then get used to one stage and add another stage and put it all together and get used to it again. And it's a lot of steps, but definitely practice. Like I said, I've been doing this since I was like 14, and I'm 23 right now. So, and this is only actually, sculpting itself has only clicked in the last like not even 2 years, probably a year and a half.
Yeah,
so
I can appreciate that, because that happened for me too. All of a sudden I was like, oh.
Now I can, it's finally like clicking. It's a really fun feeling, because you're like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah, I love your work so much. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm really proud of it right now. I just got to get painting to catch up to the sculpting now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
What's one thing you'd like to see more of in the hobby?
More of in the hobby. I mean, there's so many aspects of the hobby that I think people are willing to explore, but honestly, I think I would say like more experimenting. Like if you want to try to customize, go for it. Like just try to customize, see what happens, ask people, again, it's that keep practicing part, but also in terms of like doing shows, like going to live shows or making a model horse series if you want to do that. Because I know when I was a kid, I always wanted to do that. I wanted to film, but
Yes.
like I had zero editing skills and I still don't know how to edit videos. So that was not in the cards for me, but I should have tried it. You know, I should have just gone for it and tried it and see what happened. And also, I guess, model horse photography. I know on Instagram, I don't know why people will post photos and then they're like, oh, well, I would love to take photos, but I'm bad at it. And I'm like, who cares? Put your horse in the grass and take a photo. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine. We can all enjoy the hobby in different ways, and there's no right or wrong to how you do it. And you don't have to be, oh, this photo looks like a real horse. You know, it doesn't matter. Like, enjoy your horses how you want to. And I feel like I guess that's what it is. People just need to enjoy the hobby how they want to and not worry so much about if they're 100% correct or if what other people are thinking about what they're doing. So
yeah, I think social media kind of puts this stigma out there that you have to like be perfect and polished because that's what Instagram is.
Yes.
But
I will say, on that note, I will say that I'm pretty proud of my Instagram following. I've got a pretty good following right now, and I just post the most random crap on that page. It is not pretty. It is not organized. There's no color coordination filter. It is literally just photos of half chopped up horses. Like, there's no right or wrong to doing Instagram.
yeah.
And I admire those people that have these really fancy pages, but like, I just can't do it.
Yeah, I can't either, and I think people appreciate that about you too, because I think it communicates like a certain authenticity. So yeah, I think people, I know I appreciate seeing like the work in progress of things. So
yeah.
So overall, I guess, what does the hobby mean to you?
So the hobby in general, I think, has really given me, I guess, a lot more confidence in myself, because I kind of know how to interact with a lot of different people. Like I said, one of my best friends is much older than I am. So I'm able to, you know, talk to random people. I can talk to people that I like see at the store. If they start talking to me, I'm like totally confident in just talking to anyone, which I think has really helped. I also know a lot of more business than a lot of my like other friends, I've realized, since I was so young and kind of did businessy stuff. I'm able to hold my own on that. But overall, I think it's really given me something to kind of do and look forward to and kind of express myself, and really figure out like what I like and what I want to do. And also, you know, I keep saying it, but like, I do my own thing and I don't worry about what others say. And I think that's really helped my overall confidence, you know, even outside the hobby, give myself like expression, I guess, and all that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's been really great. And like I said, you know, I stopped model horses for a while because I thought it was kiddish and I thought I wasn't supposed to do it or whatever. So I'm glad I got back into it. And I was even showing model horses through high school, and that was a whole thing, because, you know, people would make comments sometimes, but I'm like, I don't care. I love it and I do what I like. So
yeah,
it's still hard to tell new people sometimes, but it's weird because you expect it to be a lot worse, but people take it really well.
Yeah,
it's not as bad as people think. Like, it's scary to tell people, but you know, it's not as bad. Most people take it well.
Yeah, I feel like if people are in your life and they care about you at all, and they're gonna see that like you
exactly
like doing something, and so they're gonna support you in that.
Yeah, and honestly, if people don't take it well, then I'm like, well, you're not worth my time. So
exactly,
that's fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good to get to a place where you just feel confident sharing with people that this is what you like to do, and
Agreed.
What are your future goals? And this could be short-term or long-term.
Future goals would definitely be working on painting and getting more confident in my own work, and obviously I show, so that's kind of a big deal to me, is to be able to show well, and all that. But just being more happy with my own work, because I'm very critical of my own stuff, obviously. So, but also being able to include others in the hobby, because like you said, there's some customizers who don't share their own work, which is fine, to each their own, but I want to be able to share. So it's like, I want to learn and get better in order to share and help others, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a big aspect of the hobby. It's fun, you know, bonding over learning different things and all of that. So I definitely want to grow my studio in that sense, and do more tutorials and just reach out more and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Kind of my big goal right now. So.
Yeah. That's a great goal. I admire you for that.
Thank you. It's really fun, and it's weird because like I've had people come to me. I had one girl ask about like how to sculpt faces, and I was like, I'm not the best at sculpting faces, and I was like, fair warning there, but like I will give you what I've got. So I showed her. I was able to find some step-by-steps and be able to draw on those pictures to like illustrate what I was talking about and all that. And she sculpted like her first eye and showed me a photo, and it was fantastic. So I was like, wow, I'm glad that worked for you. So I was pretty proud, even though, you know, it might not be working the best for me right now, but if I can help others, that, hey, it's working for someone, so I'm on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. So rewarding. Plug your work. Where can people find you? What can they expect from you? That kind of thing.
Yes. So I'm kind of all over the place right now, but I have an Instagram and a Facebook for my actual like studio, which is the Pokey Pony, and I do update those pretty regularly. But another great way to find me is just on Instagram for the Performance Fanatic or Performance Fanatic. That's kind of where I post all my like work in progress and just random things that I like I said, it's a little unorganized, but that's kind of the whole mindset that I have, and that's a good place to see projects that are coming up and all that. But I'm hoping the Pokey Pony I have a YouTube for it, but there's no videos on there, so I'm hoping to get some tutorials on there soon. That's another goal of mine for this year. So
exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But those are the best places to find me. So
yeah. Alright you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely go ahead and check out Erika. I will leave her links in the description below. You guys are definitely going to want to follow me on Instagram because the day after this episode goes live, I'm going to have a very exciting announcement on my Instagram. I've been working on it for the past couple of months, and I think you guys are really going to love it. I've been keeping it a secret for so long, and I know I sound so obnoxious saying that, but truly I've been working on some awesome stuff for you guys who watch and support the show. So definitely go ahead and follow my Instagram. Stay tuned for next week's episode featuring one of my longest hobby friends, Ray of West Wind Studio. Ray always has such unique ideas for her customs, and she's seriously been around since the beginning of my Instagram account, her Instagram account, so she's a longtime friend, so I was so happy to have her on the show. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.